Good evening and welcome to Give Me a Break. I'm Jonathan Carmody. It's like I've been saying, one of my goals throughout the whole broadcast is to help prevent bullying from ever happening again. Which is right. I created Stop Bullying Speak Up on Facebook, which was inspired by Cartoon Network. That was the whole reason why. This was after one of my managers witnessed bullying going on. That led me to create what happened throughout all the years. We focus in on cyberbullying, racial bullying, all types of bullying. But is there other ways to prevent this from happening again? What would happen if you were the victim of bullying? Well, here are 3 tips that you need to know to ever prevent this from happening again. So let's take a look at this.
I wanted to know what's the proper way of when you're the victim, how do you handle it?
Well, here's the thing. It is so easy for me to say, but so hard for the Amandas of the world to do. Because the number one thing you have to do is unplug. If you're getting slammed on those sites and you unplug from the site, you drop them, you delete them, you're not there, then it's not hitting on you. Now, does that mean they're not going to tease you at school? No, but you've at least stopped that. And we've got to tell these kids that telling is not tattling. If you are getting bullied on the internet, if you're getting bullied in any way, going and telling somebody in authority, somebody in responsibility what's going on, that's not, because we tell, the teacher say, oh, nobody likes a tattletale. Well, telling somebody that you're being victimized and you're being bullied is not tattling. You need to reach out and get help. And I say to all the parents out there, this is not something it's just kids will be kids. No, this has gone to another level. This is the loneliest time a child can ever have in their life. You don't want to leave them alone.
Exactly. The number one tool that bullies use is isolation. They will isolate your child. And always remember this, telling is not tattling. I mean, it's like the old saying, oh, nobody likes a snitch, nobody likes a tattletale. If you go to somebody in authority, like a teacher or a counselor, that is not tattling. That is telling somebody that you're being victimized. So if you're being victimized or if you're being bullied, you need to tell somebody. If you're standing by, get help. Nobody likes to be the victim, and nobody likes a bystander who just sits there, films on his cell phone, posts on social media, and ruins the child's day. Or ruins the child. Here's a couple stories. This is a story about a family that's calling on anti-bullying laws.
Amelia County High School to help students and counselors on hand today at Amelia County High School to help students and staff deal with a recent death. We've confirmed a male student died by suicide on Friday. I've been in contact with his mother and stepfather. They tell me this came after enduring relentless bullying at school. In a social media post, his parents thanking the community for its support, saying they've been touched deeply. They also are now using the laws to call for stricter anti-bullying laws in Virginia. We reached out to the Amelia.
Okay. Tougher laws. That's what needs to happen here. Tough laws. When you make laws about bullying, if you want laws passed, you got to create a situation like this. So if you want to create laws about bullying, you got to create situations like this. So it's like all these kids commit suicide. Let's start making laws. This is not a time for you to say, "Hey, kids will be kids." This is an ongoing event. I think there needs to be a Scared Straight program, part 3. Part 1 would be to where your future's going to be hidden. Part 2 to be aware if you pose school threats. The third part would be if you continue to be bullied by somebody. Have the bullies with their parents, have them sit down and look at the eyes of the victim's parents, look in the eyes of the parents of a child who had committed suicide because of bullying. Because if this is where your future is going to be picking on kids, That's where your future is going to be headed down towards. Is not trying to uplift people's spirits. And all you're doing is sitting there saying, hey, I don't care. And you know what else? The parents, the bully's parents, would defend their child saying, not my sweet little Johnny. Johnny would never pick on somebody. Concerns of bullying started in Pennsylvania schools. This was published back in this was the News Tribune. This was from them. The third concern is Pierce County School District responds to cyberbullying reports. There's more support needs to get done. And also Pierce Public School dragging resigns from school district. And just look at this graph. The proportions. Or it's up 78% in 2021, but the pandemic didn't happen, so what leads you to believe is, hey, you know, more is going to be done. And probably more needs to get done. We're going to take a break and come back with some more bullying, and later on, Project Baltimore. Stay with us. Welcome back. Don't make accusations, make friends. That's what Dr. Phil said when he addressed his tips about how to, for all parents, on bullying. Parents accused the Marion County teacher of relentlessly bullying a 5th grader into suicide. Now, there is a lawsuit. Now there is a lawsuit that was filed in Marion County for $100,000 in damages because of this one teacher. In it, parents of an elementary school student who killed himself over 2 years ago are now suing the Marion County School Board, according to court records obtained by News 6. The lawsuit says that the student attended Legacy Elementary School, and the parents alleged that he had been bullied by his teacher. Her name was Donna Marie White. Mrs. White constantly and relentlessly publicly humiliated the student in front of his peers, calling him stupid and ridiculing him in front of his classmates on several occasions over the span of months. In addition, the lawsuit accuses White of recruiting other students into making fun of the boy, probably asking these students whether they agreed the boy was stupid and didn't know anything. Per the lawsuit, both parents complained to school about the bullying to no avail. The student suffered such mental distress that it manifested himself in physical distress, including thoughts of suicide, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, crying, nightmares, fear, anguish, and embarrassment. The lawsuit continues. But as a result of the bullying, the student ultimately killed himself on April 27, 2023, the parents argued. But according to the investigators, the students in their class reported that White would get mad and call out certain students when they get poor grades. After an interview with then Superintendent Ann Hamlet, investigators said they learned that the 5th grader's parents had shown up to the campus days after the suicide to distribute suicide prevention flyers with White's name on them. The parents were asked to move off campus. But according to the report, they told investigators White had said she thought there was something wrong with the 5th grader. She had 3 parent-teacher conferences related to him. Despite the comments, then Principal Murphy also told investigators that the student's parents have been adamant about having the child be removed from White's class due to alleged bullying, investigators said. White said he reminded her of the actor Will Smith because he was tall and handsome. Per investigators, White explained she noticed some signs at the start of the school year that the student might need some accommodations, but his parents refused to test for an IEP. White also told investigators she always provided the student with extra support despite his failing grades. His class was the roughest. When asked whether she had any idea about why the student called her mean, I replied, absolutely. Because Udati does not like reading, ELA, or writing. English Language Arts report continues. White also confirmed that the allegation that she yelled at students who got answers wrong, though she denied the claims. No, there are 10. They're going to get answers wrong. However, investigators also noted that other parents. I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. This 35-page investigation. Look at this. This was the investigation. What I've just read to y'all, this was all blacked out. The student's name. This is what the investigators has said. February 12th, 2023. Mrs. White's so mean, she left in my grades and she talks about me. She keeps saying I sleep in her class, but I don't. March 1st, student victim texted, and I am telling on Mrs. White to Deputy Jacobs. The officer in my school goes, I don't want another kid to feel like I'm now feeling her class. May 3rd, investigator interviewed 14 student witnesses who were in Miss White's class with student victim. All the students. One student said, this described how I would get mad. Student 2 says that why we get mad is students get stuff wrong. She likes improvement. The third student says she yells at bad students daily because they do bad things. She identified student 10 as a student whom she witnessed White yell at. 4 said at times White could be a little scary. The 5th student says White sometimes points out students' bad grades. Yells in front of the class for writing. And while student 6 says White called out students with bad grades during class, that if a student was laying her head down, White would yell at them for the reason they get bad grades. The 7th student said White told the student victim to go get the student's backpack when the student victim left the class. The 7th student also made a rude comment about the student saying couldn't recall what White said during recess. She said told student victim that White said about which made student victim prior to this incident. Now we go to the 8th student who said, well, White's class was fun. Witnessed White yelling at students. The 9th student said she witnessed White made fun of students' grades in front of the class. She said White embarrassed him after he lost his phone while getting yelled at. The 9th student, the 10th student, reported being nervous to raise hand in class because he would get the answers wrong. I replied, now, you, go in the class. The 11th student reported, if you do not know the answer to the question, why would get mad and yell at you? Student 11 said White yelled at when he did not know the answer to the question. The 12th student said White yells at everybody in the class except for a couple of students, explaining if a student gets bad grades, White would call a student out. The 13th student said White had been a little bit rude. Student 13 said student 10 was holding the door and asked what the smell was. Student 13 said White told student 10, it's you. Student 13 said White yells a little bit. Reported White told the class about students bad good grades. Now the 14th student's mother, this was the 14th student, and this 14th student was the mother, had the mom with her. The mother explained that she knew something was wrong. The student 14 repeatedly came home crying, saying he was not going back to school. Student 14 said that this person would come home crying because White always yelled at him for no reason. Victim was asked to see the grades, and White started laughing until his grades were not looking good. On that same day, there were 20 other students witnesses in White's other 2 classes were interviewed. 15 students. So now we go to student 15. Humiliated White while in small groups. Said White put the back of the classroom. Your mom did not come in to get your work, so it's not my fault. It's your fault for not coming to school. The 16th, student 22 reported. Student 26. It goes on. The 36th student, White yelled at class, making cry. Now we go to May 9th. May 9th. Miss Nikki Williams, a PE technician in Sunrise Elementary. One of William White's students. Williams, one of White's students, did not participate in the interview. Investigator explained why was alleged to have harassed Williams' student in class. Williams reported March 28, 2023. All this continues. So then we move back down. August 10, 2022 to September 6 said those 3 weeks were continuous concerns. This was during the 2022-23 school year. But look at all this. Mrs. White announced in front of the class she was having a conference with my name. Mrs. White graded Bell work, said out loud F. Mrs. White said this was her bad class. Mrs. White was nicer than other people in the room. Mrs. White said she was getting bad kids out of safety patrol. Mrs. White would sometimes call my last name. Mrs. White asked if by her last name was doing some work. Class reply. March 21st, the start of the fourth quarter. This lawsuit goes on and on and on. So, did these people do something right? Or did this teacher was just like, I deny everything that happened? You know, look, we're peeling a potato with an onion. And you know, if you're shocked at hearing this story by all of this, stay tuned because there's more to this lawsuit than meets the eye. There's more. In total, there was like over 30 students that have came forward and told their side of the story. But what about the teacher? We'll be right back. It's not just students that are being the bullies, it's also the teachers. Tonight we're focusing on a lawsuit that was filed on this year by the parents of a child who committed suicide 2 years ago. This is a 35-page lawsuit detailing everything that happened. So far, you've heard the words come out of my mouth out of this lawsuit. All this, investigators said asked why if something happened in Whitestone, not in malicious way. So, in other words, she said, I would never pick on people. But here's the thing, look, I graduated in 2016. I have had the best teachers ever in Flower Bluff. Not one teacher has ever bullied me. But if that happened, I came to my mom, I told her, hey, this teacher was picking on me, she would have taken care of it. She would have scheduled a press conference saying, hey, I want to schedule a press conference about my son, blah, 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 saying you picked on him. I would have thrown in all the evidence and said, look, my son is alleging that you're picking on him, and he has proof. And here's this one. Investigator asked White how the student's victim's class was, and White replied, I always thought it was Robert's class. Look at all this. April. White said she gave the student victim homework to help prepare for an upcoming test. White said student victim did not complete the work because he had gotten in trouble at home. He had to write sentences, do extra chores. White said student victim did not tell her what the sentences were about. Investigator asked how the student's victim was in class. What was his class? There were over 30, almost 30 students in total that were involved in this lawsuit. And every child should not be going through this. People can be argumentative and say, well, that's not my child. Look at this. Does this 30-page sound argumentative to y'all? Look at this. Look at this lawsuit right here. October 31st said she contacted the school to set up a meeting. After a week and no response, she contacted the school to request a meeting when Ms. Ryan told they would not send a message to Mr. Murphy. She was never contacted by the school, just let her go. Then, months later, January 9th, 2023, said she requested a parent contact meeting with the wife of the student victim, said she could not be in Mr. White's class. Then we move on 3 days later. Said they had a parent contact meeting with all 3 student victims' teachers, which included White, James Oliver, and Tracy Dills. Doesn't mean she asked White about the comment she made student victim while it was on the line. But the student reported White became defensive, started to cry, and suggested they go to her classroom. White showed the classroom to them, but never addressed the comment made to the student victim. A month later, they said they received an email from White informing the student victim was fell asleep during class. April 3rd. This was months after this. She received an email from White's school about a student victim playing with hair. all this is exactly why I have no tolerance for bullying whatsoever. You know, it's not just students, it's the teachers who are being the bullies. I'm proud that this family has filed that lawsuit. And what about the teacher? She may deny what's on the paper, the investigative paper, but she was the one that did it. So, everyone's in this lawsuit: the students, the area superintendent, Dr. Ann Hemrick, Shamika Murphy, the assistant principal, the student services manager, the paraprofessional, the support facilitator, the inclusion teacher, James Oliver, and Tracy Wills. Dawn White was the teacher at the school. All this was from the investigator. This is from Orlando, Florida. This took place in Orlando, Florida. I think everyone did the right thing. Everyone reported it. Like I said before, if you go to somebody in authority, that's not tattling. This is definitely getting posted on the Stop Bullying Speak Up group on Facebook, and I want to let you know, we do have somebody on the on that Facebook page, on that Facebook group, who is now a new member. Not only that, he's also a group expert. He's also an expert on bullying, and who I hope to have on this broadcast someday. His name is Robert. I met him when I was in Aransas Pass. He says he knows a lot about bullying. He was a school teacher with Stop Bullying Experience, and he's glad to be here. And he's now an expert. He's now an expert on bullying. He's going to help us, and throughout all the times we focus on bullying, he'll be here as an expert explaining what can we do to make sure this never happens again. So, again, his name is Robert Stoner. We've added him as a group expert so we can provide some tips. And maybe, and one day, on the future purposes, we're gonna have him come on the broadcast via messages so that he can share a story about on the types of bullying he's experienced in the classroom. He was a teacher. He's experienced something like this. If you're a teacher, you witness bullying, you ought to be sharing your stories. And if you'd like to share your story, you can post on the Stop Bullying Speak Up group. If you like more information, like I've always said, if you like more information on how you can stop bullying and speaking up, we'll have some videos in the link in the description below. You can also log on to our newsletter at givemeabreak.substack.com, where you'll find videos, tips, and information on how you can stop bullying. This is not an ongoing event. This is not a time to say, hey, children will be children. It is an ongoing event. And what there needs to be is Scared Straight 3. The bullies need to be looking in the eyes of the parents who lost their child and say, hey, my child committed suicide because he was being bullied. It might scare him. You think it might scare him? Well, probably not, but, we'll let you know. Coming up, Project Baltimore. We'll be right back. Let's go down to Springfield. There's more bullying. There's bullying going on in Springfield. And now, Springfield Public Schools leaders are discussing bullying policies.
Welcome to the Digital Desk on this Monday. My name is Jackie Garrity, and this is Crime in Your Neighborhood. Welcome to the Digital Desk on this Monday. My name is Jackie Garrity. The situation, maybe feeling frustrated by no social media, kids, any signs of going away in schools across the nation. Now with the proliferation of social media.
Because nowadays with social media, it's like, there's bullying going on. This was 19 Minutes by Jackie Gardy. We're not gonna play you all that, but like I said, there are ways. And so now we have parents stressing at board members over alleged racial slurs. This was hours ago.
Local school board about racial tension that has transpired over a period of time. WBBJ 7 address a local school. Two parents address a local school board about racial tension that has transpired over a period of time. WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News reporter Ryan Brooks joins us live in studio with the details. Ryan.
That's right, Terry. The family of one Milan student attends their routine school board meeting in hopes of making a difference. Sean and Sharika Fennessy, the parents of Milan High School freshman Skyland Fennessy, come before the school board due to recent racial slurs and bullying her son has experienced. The goal is to alleviate further problems from arising in the future.
I come tonight not to speak just on behalf of my son, but to speak on behalf of any student who has dealt with racism within the school district. This should be a zero tolerance, and it needs to be dealt with accordingly. And there needs to be some hard conversation.
Fennessy says the issue started while her son's team was on a school bus. A senior student's baseball bat fell out of his bag and asked her son when to retrieve the bat and hand it back to the player. He accused him of stealing and proceeded to use profanity and racial slurs in which her son did not respond to. She says multiple players spoke with the coach about the incident.
What I am asking is that, starting with here, this board, that they make some revisions to the policy. And not just this board, but across not just the state of Tennessee, but the world as a whole. There needs to be some stricter policies put in place when it deals with racism, racial slurs, bullying, and intimidation.
According to Skyland's mother, the senior student began playing on the team again after just 2 games, while her son hasn't been back on the team for almost a month and a half due to the severity of the circumstances and his safety.
We were told about this situation, and we were also told that the situation was followed per our policy. And that's really about all I can say about this.
Skyland's mother tells us the issue has snowballed into emotional distress and turmoil for Skyland and his passion for the sport. His request from the school is for the senior student to be suspended.
There was disciplinary action. I can't discuss that disciplinary action, but disciplinary action was taken against this person. Discrimination has no place anywhere. And I'm very sorry that this happened, and that's not what we want for the Milan Special School District.
Policy 6.300 and 6.304 both deal with bullying, intimidation, and discrimination in the Milan School District. Skyland's mother tells us she has not received a response from the school in regards to how they will move forward. After both parents spoke at the meeting, the board went silent and moved to adjourn the meeting. Live in studio, Ryan Brooks, WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, thanks, Ryan. The mother hopes the school will do a thorough investigation to ensure the safety and well-being of all students moving forward.
And we have to teach kids that telling is not tattling. If you go to someone up in authority, that isn't tattling. Nobody likes a snitch. Nobody likes a tattletale. Let me tell you something. Telling on somebody is not tattling. And then when you look back years later, you're like, aren't you that kid that got jumped on? Like, yeah, I was. It's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. If you're being bullied, you need to talk to somebody. You have people there. You have counselors, principals, assistant principals, superintendents. And, you can go up to a school board and say, I think y'all have a bullying problem. And they can look at you and be all like, we don't have a bullying problem here. It's the best school ever. That's why schools can defend themselves in saying, we don't have a bullying problem. You do. You do. You just don't know it. There's bullying going on, and you just don't know it. And everyone's asking, what do you want us to do about it? We don't have the tools. You do. What you should have been trained on is how to deal with this. Y'all have counselors. Y'all have principals. Discipline. This is not time to say, hey, children will be children. Kids will not be kids. If you're thinking that bullying is acceptable, it is not acceptable. We recently had a bullying incident here in Flower Block to where blood was on a child and on a backpack. Which led me talking about all of bullying and led to people saying like, oh, you know, we gotta train teachers. Yeah, everybody's gonna be trained. Even if you were to address it at the next board meeting, you know, we'd have to look back. Every school district would have to look at the bullying policies and say, you know what? We need to look back at our bullying policies and we've got to make changes. One school's already doing that. They have QR codes. And all schools have what's called a report a bully page on their website. Here's an example. You go to flowerschools.net. You go to the school's website. And you can report a bully. If you have a problem with bullying, you can report it. You can remain anonymous. Just click on this page, which will take you to report.anonymous.com/FileFISD, and it takes 3 steps. Just the submitter type. You can say a student, parent, community administrator, or whatever. Just let the school's location. Whether it be athletic facilities, parking lot, PE, texting, whatever, and the school would take care of it. You can also click on photos, you'd submit it, and there you go. It's that simple. There's also an app called Anonymous Alerts. False reporting will be taken seriously to the full extent of the law. We have to take this very seriously. And sometimes their school's website just does not do so. You know, if people say, well, it's like, you know, other kids will, I mean, it's like I said before, you know, parenting is equal partnership. Dads, don't encourage violence. Violence is not a way to solve problems. You think it's okay to start saying, being proud of your child for getting in a fist fight? This won the Constituency Court. You know, one of the most used excuses for why a child does not want to go to school. They tell the truancy judge, hey, because I'm being bullied. What I heard was, if you stood there and you got your ass kicked, you stood there and you stood up to the bully. If you got your ass kicked, don't cry, you stood up to the bully. Bullying plays a part not just in school, it's also the most used excuse in truancy court, and often these school threats are happening. And what happened at Georgia? What happened in Georgia, there was a school shooter, he alleged that he was being bullied. That's what happened. Oh, I'm being bullied at school. I'm going to show them what I can do. I'm going to fight back. You fight back with words. You don't fight back with weapons. That's not the way to solve problems. All right, we're going to Baltimore County. There was a Red Sea uproar. Tonight you're going to meet a family who have been subject to a SRI. Meaning a school Red Sea investigation. They say school leaders should be held to the same standards as students, but it appears Red Sea requirements may vary depending on who you are within the district. So, what does that mean for the county and the state of Maryland? Here's Chris Papps.
For Amanda Graves.
Oh my goodness, it affected us tremendously.
And her daughter, Kirsten Bailey.
I lost a lot of my education. I lost a lot of my friends.
Reliving the experience
is
difficult.
It started with them sitting outside of my house, taking videos of me, taking pictures. They wanted to see her room. where she slept at.
Y'all literally did all of that with me. With the head of the school.
If I don't live here, then where do I live? Where do I live? If I don't live here, then where do I live?
Kirsten, in 2019, was removed from Halstead Academy due to a residency dispute with Baltimore County Public Schools.
So the school system did an entire investigation into your daughter
Yes.
and determined that she does not live here.
Yes.
More from drawing with papers. I didn't want to draw on walls.
After Kirsten was kicked out of school 6 years ago, the family called Project Baltimore. It took nearly 2 months, but Fox 45 News was able to obtain documents showing Kirsten did live at her address. Soon after,
She's enrolled.
BCPS allowed her to re-enroll, but significant damage had already been done.
I'm still pissed. I'm still frustrated.
Kirsten missed so much of her 4th grade year, she was held back. She spent the last 6 years trying to catch up academically.
She digressed tremendously.
And moving on has been difficult.
Her dealing with the self-esteem issues because she's not going in the right grade as her peers. The embarrassment.
Now, this mother and daughter are watching their own school superintendent, Dr. Miriam Rogers, go through her own residency dispute. Except the district's expectations concerning where Rogers lives are very different from what this family experienced.
And y'all literally did all of that with me. I left because I was stupid at this.
The Maryland Inspector General for Education on April 1st released a report stating the superintendent appears to have violated her contract by not residing in Baltimore County within 1 year of starting the job. Rogers' contract states the board requires that the superintendent live in Baltimore County and shall maintain continuous residency in Baltimore County. But 1 week after the IG's reports, Baltimore County School Board Chair Jane Lichter defended the superintendent.
The contract does not require her to live alone, to have her name on a lease, or to reside at the location every single day. It simply requires that she maintains residency in Baltimore County, which she has done.
I'm a statue.
Remember, this family had a school investigator sit outside their home, watching them come and go. The school wanted to see where Kirsten sleeps.
Everyone has a place where they belong.
But when questions arise about where the superintendent lives, the rules are not equally enforced.
They should be held to the exact same requirements as the students. It should be no difference.
We shouldn't be held accountable for that because you expect that from me, so why can't we expect that from you? That don't make sense, right?
Project Baltimore last week reported there appears to be violations concerning Dr. Rogers' contract regarding her relocation to Baltimore County. We reached out to the school system asking who is responsible for those violations. What did we learn? That part of the story in the coming days. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
And in the coming days, we'll let you know. So here's where I stand on this. Equal rules for all. You don't need to be defending. Look, just because this person's your friend, that doesn't mean you get to defend them and say, well, she does not to be required. Well, yes, she does. She does. That doesn't mean that you can give people special treatment because they're famous or whatever. If you're famous, you may get special treatment. But if you're a superintendent, you're held up to the standards. You're held up to the same standards. But if the State's Department of Education were to come by and say, "Is this superintendent living in Baltimore County?" and they send in an inspector to go find out, the same thing's going to happen. And yet she may sue the Department of Education for saying, "Hey, you invaded my home," and they can defend themselves saying, "Well, we know you don't live in Baltimore County. We have the report." And then when it comes to court, they're like, "Well, we do have evidence." I think the two people need to be removed. That superintendent needs to be removed, and the person that defended her, they both need to resign. Let these children go to whatever school they want as long as they're not causing harm to others. Too bad I cannot add as long as they are performing well academically to the list. Rest of the outpour. Family criticizes double standard of Baltimore County school leader. But they're leaders. Sarcasm. Nothing's going to happen. The taxpayers are going to keep shelling out these failing government daycares. So a kid who seems to learning gets screwed over, kid disturbing class, gets time out, if any will punishment. State law and residency. It's just how it is, What you need to understand here is this, Don't be defending people because, don't be giving people special treatment. Like saying, you gotta go in your zone. If you're gonna be a follow superintendent, you need to be in Flower. If you live in Flower Bluff, you need to be in Flower Bluff. But if you live on the island, which is connected to Flower Bluff, then maybe they may make an exception. Laguna Shores, Glen Oak, Yorktown, Laguna Shores, Glen Oak, Purdue, Graham, just a few. If you live in any of those streets in Flower Bluff, you are zoned in Flower Bluff. But if you're in CCISD and want to be superintendent, you got to be in the CCISD area. But which part of CCISD you want to go to? That's all the way down on the south side. Because I'm going to tell you, I was raised on the south side for 6 years. We moved out of the south side, moving into this side, the good side of our community. And I've seen it all happen. I've seen it. I've seen it as a kid. People, so you tell me don't know what you don't know? I know what I know. I was raised on the south side. I was raised for 6 years on the south side. So in the coming days, we'll let you know what happens. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Last week on this broadcast, we brought you Flower Bluff's proposed ABC bonds, which was over $1 billion bond since all the years the school district was introduced. Let's give you a quick recap. And the question still remains, is it going to raise our property taxes? Here's Madeline Salinas.
District leaders say the proposed $193 million bond would upgrade aging campuses, enhance safety measures, and add new learning spaces for students. More than 100 community members helped shape the bond package, making sure every campus and program would benefit.
The goal of the committee was to extend the life of these fixed assets that have served the community so well for so long. And so I think the committee did a good job of making sure that all the projects impacted every campus and every student and every program in our Flower Bluff ISD community.
If all three propositions in Bond 2025 pass, the district's tax rate would raise slightly. Steinbrook says it would still remain the lowest compared to neighboring districts. And Election Day is Saturday, May 3rd, with early voting happening today and tomorrow from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. And I'll have more in my full report at 6:30. John Thomas, Barbie.
Today's the last day for early voting, so you're going to get out there and vote, Now, I don't vote, but I do support what's going on. But what I do not support is the highest tax rate. We pay taxes, and our tax dollars go to the schools. And if you saw yesterday's broadcast, there was a joke that it had. Taxes, beautiful, lovely, taxes. From Disney's Robin Hood. If you missed that, I'm going to play it for you again. If you missed this one, let's play it again. Jokingly, this would be one of the board members, and this would be the superintendent. Jokingly.
Taxes, beautiful, lovely taxes.
Thanks. We pay taxes. Our tax dollars go to our schools. Our tax dollars go to the buildings. But yes, we need more improvements. But we don't want yes, here's the thing. Yes, we want improvements in our schools, but we don't need property taxes being raised up through the roof. We want to remain low. And I think what he's doing is a great idea. But community members sit there and say, well, I don't want to pay a lot more rent. Okay, well, go find a place where. Okay, well, if you don't want to pay higher rent, then go find somewhere where you can pay less rent. Go live in a community or a city that's cheaper. And maybe then you'll know what it's like. So yeah. There's a debate going on in CCISD that would even make people decide closing schools with repairs and replacements. So, what are those two schools? And are they in need of replacement? Take a look.
Outstanding maintenance needs and budget issues are reasons Deputy Superintendent Karen Griffith requested the closure of Castores and Shannon Estates Elementary.
We still have immediate needs and we still have facility needs. I know this is not a popular discussion.
In Griffith's presentation, she focused on the benefits of closing down the two campuses and consolidate students to other elementary schools.
The current year, we have spent over $100,000 on these two facilities, and the future cost is over $11 million to address the immediate needs on these two campuses.
CCISD board member Marty Bell was the first to speak against the approval of closing Castores and Shannon Estates.
If we could fix Shannon and Castores, any issues that they might have going forward, that we might be able to utilize them not just next year, for maybe another 30 or 40 years.
Bell's concern is for the impact to students and their families.
But there's also a balancing act as far as our budget is concerned and the needs of our students.
As this has been tabled for further discussion, we'll be sure to bring you updates on air and online at kristv.com. For Chris 6 News, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Victoria Valderrama.
We'll keep you posted.
Shannon Estates Elementary.
But what are the parents' reactions to those two school closures? Here's Michaela Chavez. Here's Michaela Chavez with her story on those two school closures.
I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter at Shannon Estates Elementary, one of two CCISD schools that CCISD board members considered shutting down. I spoke with parents and a student to get their thoughts on why the school board considered closing the school.
To some, it wasn't shocking news.
I've kind of maybe, rumored that they were thinking, the possibility of it closing.
That's Glenda Cavazos, a grandparent to 3 at Shannon Estates.
10-year-old, 9-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
She takes the kids to school and picks them up every day, but she'd have to figure out a new route that isn't as convenient with the school change.
I live right across the street right here from Everhart, and I work 2 miles down.
For others, the possibility of the school shutting down came with another feeling, nostalgia.
It's pretty sad because I went to school here and, I just tugged at my heart a little bit more.
Matri Byerly is a member of the Parent-Teacher Association. She also has 3 kids at Shannon and says her kids have mentioned some of the issues at the school.
There's been water falling from the ceilings. There's buckets everywhere on the ground for the water. Even on desks.
Byerly says the possible school closure is understandable if the funds aren't enough to make fixes to the school.
The kids, their immune systems are different. They're just, it's hard on them.
You know, we want them safe. We need them safe. They're our babies. We gotta protect them.
And over at Castores Elementary, parents are sharing similar concerns.
It's literally walking distance from my house. It's gonna be very difficult to get my son to a different school.
And also frustration.
Well, it's called wear and tear. We pay taxes every year. Why can't they just replace it or fix it?
And for some, the generational life change is too painful to think about.
What are they going to do with the building? What are they going to do with it? It's going to cost them just as much to take it down, and then where are they going to put all the kids? They're all going to be crowded in other schools. I'm just really, really sad. And if I could go protest, I would.
The CCISD vote has been tabled for now, but we'll continue bringing you updates as we get more information. Reporting on the South Side, I'm Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 Sunrise.
And like I said, and there's more to come about this. It's been on the table. When anything happens, we will let you know. But that brother parents right. You gotta go out there and protest, and so be it. It's your First Amendment right to go out and protest, but outside, but on the sidewalk, without distracting the educational process. Do it in between, like before school and after school, is what I recommend. Now, as for where I stand on this, do it during the summer. You know, you've got like months off of summer. It should happen. You know, you should be able to fix it during the summertime. Because, you know, when kids are out of school, teachers are out of school, janitors, maintenance people are out there working, fixing things. You know, it's not just mopping, waxing, or sweeping. Major maintenance is happening. There's major maintenance systems going on. Scrub the cafeteria once a week. Clean the classroom every other day. Mop the floors once every 3 years. Basic sweeping and basic mopping. It may be a pretty easy job. I mean, get someone in your family will buy make a lot of money and all, but I would never be working as a janitor. Even if I did, I'd quit my job at McDonald's and work as a janitor. Do I see my future doing janitorial work at the school? People would freaking recognize me. Work at the school system and everyone would be like, John is working here? Oh, the guy from the corner? Oh my god! I love him! Everyone would be rushing, I love him! Every personality. That's... I don't know. But, yeah, we'll keep you posted on, we'll keep you posting this on our future Give Me a Break. We'll let you know what happens. Alright. Did you go to Sandfest? If you went to Sandfest, nah, I guess I don't have time for that. We're gonna take a break. Come back. We're gonna take a break. Come back. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us. Do you remember the show iCarly? You know, spaghetti Spencer Shea making spaghetti tacos. It's really easy to make spaghetti tacos. All you need is some spaghetti, some special sauce, meatballs, and a taco shell. Well, a couple days ago, Saucy TV, you know the one with Donna the mom, Al Dente the dad, Marco Jr., Linda, Nikki, the whole family. Donna wanted to prank her husband. Let's take a look at this.
What are we doing today?
I am going to mess with my husband's dinner with a classic iCarly. First, we start with some spaghetti.
This alone would have triggered him.
This will do.
we're in trouble.
Oh yeah. Please, Uncle Junior, try not to laugh when I give this.
Get it out of your system now.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that'll help. Get ready.
Ready as I'm gonna be. Something new I wanted to try for dinner tonight, some spaghetti tacos.
Finally! That looks awesome, Mom.
Right? Okay, Spencer Shay. Yeah, honey, try one. Go ahead.
Can I have one?
Sure.
I need a plate.
What is this? Spaghetti taco?
Yeah, it's something different.
It's for my Carly.
It's spaghetti with
Send it to iCarly. What the hell? I'm not eating this.
Don't you like it?
No, spaghetti taco?
Don't you want to try something new? Good.
Not a spaghetti taco.
You like it?
You're dumb. They don't know
Wants
anything.
to try it. They're iconic. They're legendary.
Dad, you didn't even try it yet.
I'm not going to. This is disgusting. I love you, but this is not happening.
Come on.
Tell me this is a
She worked hard.
No.
It's kind of cool. Italians, man, I like it. A spaghetti on a taco shell. A fun deal.
Guys, are you ready for some pasta?
Please don't.
Please don't.
Yes,
I have,
we're ready.
I have a question.
Oh my god.
Do they pre-cook the pasta? I like my pasta al dente. Can't eat it if it's not al dente. And they get it al dente.
Let me check in the kitchen. I'll be right back.
Is it over? I gotta eat too. Oh my god, it's every time. You don't call me al dente for nothing.
Guys, are you ready for some pasta?
That's why it's called al dente. It's an Italian family. They like Wes Ferguson's dad.
Oh, baby. He might not forgive us for this one.
Thank you.
Oh! Hey, Dad, pizza's on the table. Ooh, I'm starving.
What the fuck is this?
What? It's time to eat. Can you get me some?
You're just fucking with me. You didn't pay for this, did you? Come on, you guys are messing with me, right? This is a joke?
We bought it. It's their new thin crust special.
Where's the real pizza? Where did you get this from?
It's fresh. Give me a piece.
Fresh my ass. This is garbage. What is this?
What's
This looks like fell out of somebody's ass. Pizza doesn't do this. This is
You
garbage.
ruined the pizza. Now we can't eat it.
This was ruined the minute they pulled it out of the oven.
I love this family.
Just put it on the counter.
What is that?
That's pasta made with lentil. It's healthier. I figured we'd have it for Sunday dinner.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Pasta with lentils in it. Try something new. And if you're a part of an Italian family, never bring Taco Bell.
Come on, let's go. It's getting cold.
Okay. Oh, give me that.
Try again.
Damn.
Come on.
And that's why you don't burn Taco Bell to an Italian Sunday dinner. You know what would happen if I'm sitting across the tortilla and just hit him on the crotch? Straight up. That would have been freaking funny. And bad sisters don't ever learn how to share.
Hey, Nikki, that's a cool robe. Isn't that Linda's though?
Yes, that is my robe. Why are you taking my robe? What are you talking about? You never asked. This is literally mine. No, it's not. We have the same one. We don't. We literally bought the same one. No, we didn't. Yes, we did. You told me you had the same one. That's in my closet and you didn't know what I literally bought the same one.
Hey, Nikki, that's a cool robe.
Damn! Why can't families ever get along? No matter what happens?
Don't say anything. Stop it. We know what we did.
No matter what happens?
Hey, Nikki, that's a cool
Every
robe.
family sticks together. No excuses. No excuses. And I love I love this family. I love the family. So even Saucy TV, you know, I had this crazy imagination, you know. You know, I'm understanding coming down to Corpus Christi, blah blah blah, and you know what? They would travel down to Corpus, just like check out all the scenery, and like first stop would be to the aquarium, and then all of a sudden, you know, Italian restaurants, Alan Italian, ooh, guess, ooh, and then all of a sudden they see me, it's like, there's a guy playing guitar. Oh, that's nice. I just want to be with Al Dente, Marco, and everybody, you know. So that'd be finishing playing, like, and then I'll like end the song, and then all of a sudden they would come up to me saying, "You know how to play?" They're like, "You're really good," and I'm like, "Thank you." And believe me, no, he's really good. And then they asked me, "Have you ever played in front of everybody?" Besides this, I got a guitar. I sing in front of people in this intersection. I played at events past and play in front of millions of people outside a home game. I have been to gigs, yes. Now, you play for tips? Yes, I do. So they give me $100 tips each. Pictures together, then all of a sudden, everyone likes it. So that'd be if I were to meet this family. I love this family. Messing with the dad, crushing tortilla, the Taco Bell. You're not my son. You got Taco Bell. You ain't my son. Get your ass out of my house. And here, well, here's a short video. Saying, like, get out of my studio. Stay throwing chairs. Here's just.
What I have to say is, get my stage. Get the off my stage. Get off my stage. Get off my stage. And with that, you dirtbag, creepy dead, get the out of here. Get the off my stage. Get the out of my studio and don't ever come back. Get your ass, and wherever you came from, walk all the way home. You're no good mother either. Get the off my stage. You can take your sly ass and get off my stage. You know, get the off my stage. Get the off my stage. Get the off my stage. I told you. Get the off my stage. Pieces of off my stage. Get your ass up and get out of my studio. You get the off my stage. With that, you can get off my stage. You can get off my stage. And with that, you get the off my stage.
Damn!
We do have a going away here for you. It's a box of get off my stage. Get off my stage. Get the
That was from Sonic and Michael Jackson Fantic. His channel is filled with get off my stage with some compilations of Steve Wilkos. If you like him, then if you like him, you like his channel, check it out. You want to see Steve Wilkos? I got no problem. That's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Monday going to Tuesday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Wednesday. Follow us here on YouTube and Give Me a Break. Stop bullying, speak up. Concentration, not strength. No jaywalking. Take care of yourself and each other. Have a good night.